Vomiting
Imagine
is so
if you
terrible.
had chafed nipples from
Oh my
surfing.
gosh. Yeah.
And every day someone came in and hit them with a nail file. Tales from the Ditch. We're excited. It's another episode. My life isn't crumbling. I'm not emotionally crippled.
What's your best impression, Jake? Sorry, Seth.
Don't do Robin Williams because it's too soon.
Can you do any impressions?
I'm not an impressionist.
No impressions at all?
Not an impressionist.
Gilbert Gottfried, maybe? Everybody could do that.
This
What's the
podcast used to be my bread and butter. But
What about
I need you guys to start the impressions. I got to get some
Seth?
inspiration.
Best impression. Oh, Seth, do Clive Owen.
from Sin City.
Yeah.
There he goes. Pull the gun from my side. It slides out like I want it to. I pull the trigger and the bullet flies like a symphony in the night. She's screaming, but I don't hear her over the cars. Dwight, what have you gotten yourself into now?
That's so good.
It's a cop. Maybe a good one. There's Gollum. I can do that.
That's really good. That's because
That's
your
from
throat
smoking.
and lungs. Yeah.
That's right. All right. Let's get down to the brass taxes. Because look, so we're all in agreement. Trump is the Archangel Michael. I think we established that last episode.
He's fighting the dragon right now.
I
The
want to
dragon
ask
is liberalism.
this. So this is a huge debate, actually, and one that I feel I've always been right on, and I don't care if anyone thinks I'm wrong. The question is always this, and there can be variances of this, and I want you to hear me correctly on this. Tales from the Ditch, by the way, sponsored by the DNC, is what we would say if we were actually sponsored, but we're not. Watch Will Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix. He's the guy who did Everybody Loves Raymond. Anyway, so here's the question. It's a comic book question. And I think it has implications, and the arguments I've heard are lame. And you can have nuances. You can have exceptions. Is it ever, and I'm saying ever, because when you say never, you have to have absolute evidence that there's no situation where it's okay. Is it ever okay for a superhero to kill?
You're looking at me, but I think that question is directed to Jake.
I know. I just can't focus my eyes. I have brain damage. Who's over there?
Who's that?
Is it ever okay? And I'm not talking anti-hero, because if you get into Punisher, Punisher kills everyone. Is it ever okay for a hero to kill? And I want the argument for it, because I have mine, and there's nuances to it. There's some people who are like teetotalers. They go, not at all, not anything. Some say, well, if his back is against the wall, if there's this. So, what's the correct term?
Teetotaler is somebody who doesn't drink, right?
Yeah, and I was using it as a reference, like they're absolute. They're none at all.
Oh, yeah. Like extremists.
Extremists, yeah.
Extremists. We'll edit that.
So, Jake, is it ever... You edit me, and I will register you for...
Teetotaler.
Teetotaler. TT. Is it ever okay, Jake, for a superhero to kill? And I want... Because if we say never, you have to say in every circumstance it's morally wrong no matter what. I would caution you only against one argument. Don't use piss, which is code for plot-induced stupidity. It is dumb. It's moral arguments in comics that are moronic. So, is it ever okay for a superhero to kill? Not anti-hero. And I would say Spawn's an anti-hero, right?
I would even say Wolverine's an anti-hero.
Spawn, Punisher, is Deadpool an anti-hero?
Yes.
I'm trying, because I want to be fair. Okay, so go ahead, Jake.
Well, I think at least one distinction has to be made clear.
Okay.
DC or Marvel?
Oh, we're going Marvel.
Oh, okay. That changes my answer.
Because I feel like if we do... Because I feel like Marvel and DC have set different ideas even for the heroes and different frameworks. I just feel like, because if you look at Superman's different than Cyclops, different than, so in the Marvel context, Marvel Universe, and maybe I'll ask DC later, so Marvel Universe, is it ever okay to kill as a superhero? And why? Or why not?
Yes. Okay. One instance for sure, if Captain America was Hydra all along, he has to go down.
Wow.
Okay. So if he's a Nazi jerk, he has to be annihilated, which I'm okay with that. But so why, if he's been a Nazi the whole time, and Hydra's Nazis, don't try it. They're like, oh, we did this backstory.
Hydra's been around longer than Nazis.
Because they do that. They go, well, it's not about this. But if you look at it, I go, if you aligned with Hitler, I don't think it's cool to go, but it was just for his economic policies. I'm sorry. And Hydra slaughtered people, and they even use the term, we need to purify and have it. Come on. All right, go ahead, Jake. Sorry, I'm derailing this with my sassiness.
No, that...
Get off your phone, Sean.
Sorry,
That answer, actually, I don't know, because then are you... I don't think you're... I think I was evading the actual argument.
Stop
with that
evading
first
it.
answer.
Is it because you're German? You're evading this Hydra question.
I don't think I can say that Marvel heroes can kill.
Why?
One, because my comic book knowledge, what there is there's not been really good evidence of it happening. And two, I don't think that it's always the only answer, especially for our Marvel heroes.
Is there any context where it's... So say this, even if it's 1 out of 100, is there any context you can see where you go, yeah, that was okay to kill for a hero in Marvel?
No, because I lean on the answer is always life. I'd rather Red Skull suffer in a dungeon below Antarctica for 60 years than him be sucked into a vortex and us not know.
Sean?
I know the answer that you want. And even though I might say the answer that you want, it's not for the reasons that you want, I think. Because we disagree. As you've said, nuance is the enemy of the American ideal. And it's nuance that allows me to form my opinion. My opinion is yes. It is absolutely okay for the Marvel hero, not the anti-hero, but the actual hero, the morally upright, whether patriotic or Christian or Islamic or Hindu hero, it's okay for them to kill.
Why?
In the scope of Marvel Comics, I want to say that the most pro-life decision and the decision that regards people with the biggest value is removing one person from the equation. Before I say my example, I want to say the counter to my argument. A lot of people would say Galactus is somebody that they should have killed a long time ago. Because think of all the death that Galactus caused, right? Over the years. But now you have Galactus, and instead of Galactus being the world eater, he's now the life bringer.
He's a life bringer, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's repented. And if you were to kill Galactus 20 years ago, you would have taken away his opportunity to repent. Right? However,
you're strengthening my argument here.
As a Reformed Christian, as a 3.5 point Calvinist, I do strongly believe that in the future Galactus may have repented. However, many lives would have been spared if Galactus was killed, let's say 20 years ago. And so Galactus could still find salvation even though he was in his unrepentant state. Is not through Galactus's own works, but through the works of Christ on the cross. Does that make sense?
I've never been so disappointed to you. No.
And so another example to make it more clear is like the recent run, Jonathan Hickman's run, which was so good, of the
New Avengers or
no, not that recent. Sorry, recent as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not up to date on everything. When the incursions happen, the world ends, and it's all brought into Doom World, and everything has to be.
That was New Avengers leading into that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Doctor Doom could have been killed before he destroyed the multiverse. And whether or not Doctor Doom had the ability to repent or not would be between God and Doctor Doom. But so many lives could have been spared, and the image of God could have been preserved through human means by taking out Doctor Doom before he essentially brought the end of the universe.
This podcast is over. No.
Who's going to listen to us now?
So, I am okay with superheroes killing but not murdering. And there's a distinction even in the Old Testament between killing and murdering. Because if you translate it as just, thou shalt not kill, all it is taking a life all the time. David was a massive sinner and God shouldn't have ordained it. Joshua was a massive sinner. But there's a difference between killing and murdering. So that's one distinction I make. The second thing I make is just because killing is different than murdering doesn't mean you do it all the time. Because just because you have the right to something doesn't mean you necessarily have to do it. I see it as the verse that says, be at peace with man as much as is possible. It says as possible. It doesn't say no matter what, you're going to be at peace. I look at that and go, okay, there was an issue where Captain America had a terrorist threatening to blow people up. And I don't even know if he has a shield. And the guy goes, I'm going to blow him up. Like, only way you're going to stop me is if you kill me. And this wasn't pragmatics. This was the guy literally made his intentions known of, I'm going to destroy the Imago Dei. I don't plan to repent. You're trying to save life. I've given you no other option. And he tried to reason with him. Captain America in one punch breaks his neck and saves everyone. In a different issue, Uncanny Avengers, Wasp is given the opportunity by Reaper. He says, kill me, stop me, and you can destroy this device and save the Earth, because one of the Celestials was going to destroy the Earth. She goes, no, Avengers won't kill. Now, this got retconned, but Reaper turns around, kills Captain America, and the planet gets blown up. And my issue is this. One, Wasp doesn't do this thing where the guy literally says, I want you to kill me. I'm giving you no option. She's not doing it out of pride. She's not doing it out of revenge. It's literally her trying to prevent billions from dying. And here's the thing that makes me even more frustrated about it. She had no basis for it. She didn't claim God. She didn't claim a religion. It was Avengers don't kill, which was a self-imposed morality that Iron Man came up with. Who, by the way, Iron Man has killed. Thor has killed. Wolverine has killed. All on the Avengers. And they still say, we don't kill. And it's one thing to say we don't kill all the time, but they say we never kill. You have to say that in any instance, if a female Avengers is being sexually assaulted, and the only way to stop him is killing, she can't do that. And they don't bring Christianity, so they have no basis. They have no foundation. And even when it's killing, not murdering, it's wrong to them. Even when there's no other option, it's wrong to them. And it's hard because at least with Jake or you, I could go, okay, they're saying, well, as a Christian, I feel his conviction. It literally is a self-imposed moral that they say, well, because I've said it's wrong. Like Iron Man once gave his justification one issue and he was drunk, I think, when he did. And I'm like, that's the worst argument ever. I see even biblically, if biblically I see the Bible allows you to kill if there's no other option, and you're doing it actually to protect life, and it is actually loving your neighbor, going, okay, one neighbor has said, no, I don't want redemption. I'm going to destroy. I'm going to do this. And has given you no other option. You have a choice between stopping them or letting the neighbor die. And people go, well, you can do this. No, if someone's on drugs too, there's not always opportunity of, oh, let's wrestle them to the ground. I've heard that from people. It's not loving to let them commit evil. It's not loving to let them murder and rape someone in front of you. And you are called to protect them too. And it puts you in this weird place where I don't see Jesus go up to centurions and say, leave the military. Why doesn't he do that? So if I see this context in Scripture, and even this idea of, okay, it permits, if you have to, killing versus murder, then when I look at someone in the same situation, or Captain America, who they claim is a Christian, and the guy gives his intentions of, I don't want to repent, I'm on the side of evil, I'm okay with it in an extreme circumstance. If Captain America killed all time, I'd have an issue with it because I go, wait, you don't always need to do that. It seems to be getting into pride. It seems to be getting into vengeance. It says vengeance belongs to the Lord. But if he goes, I want to defend life and the flourishing of life, and this person made his intent known that he was going to destroy my neighbor and didn't want my love, didn't want my protection, I'm okay in that specific context. So in a specific context back against the wall, I'm okay with it because that's why I even look at just war theory. It's not that I want war, but if a war meets all the qualifications and there's no other option and Hitler's invading and you're doing that, I'm okay with that because that to me is different than revenge coming out in pride and killing someone. So that's my context for Marvel. Where are you going, Sean?
I agree with you. I think we've talked about this before
That's my kind of biblical.
I think heroes absolutely shouldn't kill mercilessly and without remorse. Every life, even if it's the life of somebody who is terrible and going to bring the end to many lives, that's still somebody created in the image of God and comic book writer. And they should take that seriously. Absolutely. At no point should anybody say, with no consequence, am I going to kill this person? Because there's always a consequence. And you and I know this, like even in fights, like you never win a fight. You can beat somebody in a fist fight, but then you're looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and here's the issue I had with some comics is they said, and Jake, this isn't your argument. Yours is obviously deeper, but I hate this. They go, if you do that, you're just like them. No, if a woman's being assaulted and she kills the guy, they go, well, you're just like him. Wait. So the guy who's murdered and raped 20 women attacks a victim. She defends himself and kills him. She's the exact same. That is ridiculous to me because the motive's different. The situation is different. She didn't initiate the conflict. He forced it on her. Her life was threatened. His was. There's so many nuance, but I see even in comics these arguments of, this is why I heard in one of them, it was Avengers don't kill. Why? Because we're above that. You self-righteous. This is Tony Stark who slept with his friend's ex-wife, blew up planets, raging alcoholic, abusive to everyone. And he goes, well, that's not who we are. I go, apparently it is.
Yeah.
Apparently it is. And it's hard because that is the issue I have is, most Avengers haven't killed. You're right. Most haven't. Like the Wasp, to her credit, hasn't. But depending on the writer, Jonathan Hickman, you had a bunch of Thor killed.
Yeah.
Thor, and here's the issue I have is they'll have an alien invasion. They'll kill all of them. Yeah. But some argument of, well, they're not sentient. They're sentient. They have like ships. They've built destroyers. They've attacked like Secret Invasion. They had to say that they would kill some Skrull. Why? Because if not, they can't knock out one by one 5 million guys, put them in jail cells. Black Panther? Did you see that one picture when the Skrulls invaded Wakanda? He put them on pikes and said, this is what happens when you invade Wakanda. He slaughtered another Avenger. So that's the hard issue I have is I see they have no foundation. I see a difference in killing versus murder. I see in the Bible a liberty to protect life. I see motive matters, I see context matters, and I see the situation matters. So that's why in a very specific situation, I go, Yes. If Captain America was doing it all the time, no. I actually would have a huge issue with that. Even if he defended it, I would have a huge issue with it.
You know what was fantastic? Are you guys up to date on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Spoilers.
I was nodding yes.
Jake, you could take your headphones off if you don't want spoilers.
Do you watch that show?
That's the only Marvel thing I haven't watched, actually.
It's so good right now.
First season wasn't great,
I watched
to be
the
fair,
first 2
but now
episodes, and
First season wasn't great.
It's
Second episode
crazy
was
now.
second season was a little worse, and then it just keeps getting better. Anyways, right
Ghost
now,
Rider season 4, it was kind of cool.
there's
heard good
just a
things.
fantastic spot where I'll try to say this. There are spoilers, so stop listening now, but I'll try to say it with as little spoilers as possible. This guy named Mac, there's a guy named Mac and an Inhuman with superpowers named Yo-Yo and an Inhuman with superpowers named Quinn. And Mac says to Yo-Yo and Quinn, we're not going to go around killing people. And it's an alien race of people. It's not
Is
even
it
human.
Flint or Quinn?
Oh, it's Flint. You're
Flint.
right. I'm so
He's
sorry.
a real character in the comic, too. In the Inhumans comics.
he
He's
really?
in the new series.
I've
That's a
never
real
seen it.
character.
Oh, okay. So Flint. Gosh,
He's more powerful in the comic.
I don't know why I said Quinn, but either way, Quinjet. Maybe that's why. So, Yo-Yo says to Mac, she goes, "Hey, sometimes killing is necessary." And Mac says this, and I like Mac more and more every episode. I didn't used to like him, but now I do. He says, "You're right. Sometimes killing is necessary, but Flint is actually getting a taste for it." And he says, "I think we need to prevent that."
That's true. Okay.
I thought that was great. It's like Flint currently doesn't have the ability to choose what is acceptable and unacceptable situation to
He is
kill.
a kid. That's
Yeah.
fair. Okay.
And I thought that was really good because Max said, "Yes, I get it. Sometimes you need to kill, not murder, but you need to kill." And but he qualifies it by saying, "I'm taking a stand in this case with Flint because he's getting a taste
He's
for
like,
it."
what, 15? He
Yeah,
has to be a
that's crazy.
kid.
I thought that was so profound. I was watching
Yeah.
that. I was like, dang, that's awesome.
Because that's the thing, there's nuance. Because, alright, have you watched, alright, this for Jake. And if you want to answer other question more, because I saw the gears were turning. He's like, I've already refuted you, pastor. Have you watched any of the DC animated? There's one called Under the Red Hood.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Red Hood gives his speech. He's like, I thought you would kill Joker because he took me away from you.
Yeah.
And Batman's like, I don't think you ever understood. He goes, what? It'd be too hard? He's like, no, it'd be too easy. Because Batman, and I thought was a decent argument, to be fair. I was kind of surprised. He goes, he doesn't give the self-righteous thing. He goes, I think if I did it, I wouldn't stop. And if you go down that road once, I'll keep going. And Batman's not... This isn't Thanos versus Captain America. He's fighting street level guys with his fists. If he killed him, that's intentional. That's 100% intentional. And I thought he gave a good speech. And here's the interesting thing, and I think it goes with Rorschach a little. Red Hood says, either you shoot me or I shoot Joker. Mm-hmm. And Batman rejects the premise and goes, I'm walking away. Well, fine, I'm going to shoot Joker. Fine, it's not on me. I refuse to even play the game. It reminds me of Rorschach saying, never compromise, even in the face of Armageddon. So Batman, he's a guy, that's another thing. I break it down to certain characters. I get him not killing. But with the other discussion, with what I said, do you still look at that and go, no, I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Because I want to ask the DC question next. What do you think about, I mean, is it making sense at least what I'm saying about Marvel? I mean, where I'm coming from?
No, totally. And really like that, the argument totally backs up. Because you think about even just like, okay, step away from comic book for a second, like real life. Like, if you are conceal carrying a gun, like you're taught in those classes that the conceal carry is meant for lethal use only.
Yeah, if you're aiming for somebody, you're aiming to kill. You're not aiming for their shoulder or leg or something like that.
And so it totally makes sense that, like, if you have to face that, if you have to bring out that weapon, in which case for a superhero it's themselves, like you better be ready to use it in whatever instance. So it makes sense. Now DC is different. I think DC has already just established themselves as
they kill less,
it's whatever.
right?
Well, depending on who you're looking at, but it's whatever means necessary a lot of the times.
Really, with DC, you feel like they kill more?
Batman's the most restricted for sure.
Because Marvel, I always think of X-Force when like Cyclops commissioner. So because
Well,
I
I
think
think-
Suicide Squad. Who else kills in DC?
Well, if you look at
Dude.
Marvel deals a lot more with intergalactic things and
okay,
that
that's
area.
fair. Yeah.
When DC, the only time you're stepping into that is with the Green Lantern Corps. And so, like Batman especially, the reason he doesn't kill as much is because he's dealing with street thugs the whole time.
That's fair. Yeah.
So he doesn't have to because he has these, kind of inept abilities.
I would even say Jason Todd leading up to when he confronts Batman in that.
He killed some
spoiler,
guys,
sorry.
right? I
Like-
thought Jason Todd killed some guys.
Yeah,
didn't he?
you assume. I mean, maybe not in the panel, but when Batman's saying, like, you can't go down this road, Jason Todd is saying, I already have. Like, you've seen off panel, I've killed at least 50 people. You know what I mean?
Damian
You
Wayne
assume.
beheaded a guy. Did you? Damian Wayne before he became Robin, chopped off a dude's head. That's canon.
Really?
And I read it. I said, word? He was. All right. So you think, this is new to me because I'm not huge. You think DC, they've killed more, really?
I think so. Because, well, I don't actually have any proof to back this up at all, but
No, we're going
We just
with
make
it.
up statistics on the show, so go for it.
Superman, when he was young Superman, when he was like Clark Kent, kind of discovering who he is, and he was fighting people, he did not have the self-control. And
that's true.
he's a Kryptonian. He has immense strength. He goes to punch somebody and he knocked off their head. He didn't even know what he's doing. So I think it's unwritten, but
I think Shazam's even killed a guy once. See, but they play it down. They go, well, it was a magical creature. Constantine has killed people.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude,
Constantine.
Black Adam in World War III slaughtered teams. Have you ever read that?
Mm-mm.
All right, so Black Adam is Shazam's like counter. Dude, he was killing like young heroes, and he's a guy who now they sometimes still work with. I don't know why I got Irish there. Why'd I get? They still work with him.
Happens when you kill a man.
They just he tore his head from his torso.
Gosh, dude, Adventure Time, when BMO's like, I know that look. That's the look you have when you've killed
He
somebody.
killed someone. He killed someone.
It's so crazy.
Here's the thing, though. Why this gets into the whole sentience thing. Superman will say we don't kill. But what? All right, and let me get pragmatic because we've already talked philosophical. Because I'm okay with saying you don't do something, even if it's not pragmatic. Because I don't think the Bible's pragmatic. I don't think the Bible's like, oh, it's only what's practical. Because loving your enemy isn't practical. It's not. But whenever they have an invasion by aliens, suddenly everything goes out the window. They go, well, they're this type of species. I go, you just annihilated like 10,000 of them. Well, but the Justice League doesn't kill. I'm like, they had brains. They had hearts. Well, but they're not this. And I'm like, I just feel like so much of this isn't that they thought it out. It's that A, they don't want the villains to go away because if you kill, they won't have villains. Because if you kill the Riddler, you can't bring him back.
Yeah.
And B, the comic book code that came out, what was that, 60s, 70s? It was like parent code. Yeah, I think it was Silver Age, right? Where this isn't so much this position or this nobility. It's that they got forced into it and they want to keep their characters. Because if you look at Joker has escaped, 20 times?
well, during the Silver Age, that's when he became more about the money than like the psychotism and,
Which, by the way, Silver Age Superman could like blow away solar systems with his wind. Oh, dude, he was overpowered.
What age was Turning Back Time Superman?
I want to say that was Silver Age, either Silver Age or
The
above,
worst
because
cop out ever.
he sneezed and a solar system went away, and I was like, okay, he's a god. But
Yeah.
Batman used a gun in the 40s, didn't he? I thought early on. Jake's like, I don't know.
That is interesting,
Whatever.
though. how it's so easy for us to say that life is not important if it's an alien race. But and I understand.
Batman can't kill a rapist on the street, but he can shoot Darkseid in the heart with a gun, which
Exactly.
he did, by the way. He goes, well, that's okay. I'm like, okay.
Exactly. Or Chitauri. Like,
Chitauri, they slaughtered.
Oh, yeah.
imagine that. Like,
That's why I like the MCU, though. They're okay with it. They go, no, sometimes we'll kill. And they just do it. Because they know if they didn't, it wouldn't, whatever.
right. But
Whatever.
it's interesting. Like,
But they do have that thought. Because Black Panther, I mean, stopping... so, to the MCU, Black Panther's stopping himself from either killing Zemo himself or letting him kill himself. Like,
true.
Was that him being against murder? Or See, because I think Black Panther in Infinity War is going to kill those invaders. But I don't think he's okay with cold blood. He made a distinction of, he goes, revenge isn't okay. He goes, because I've let it consume me. I think he's against, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I think he's against vengeance because in the comic, Black Panther has killed some people.
Doesn't he allow Black Bolt to destroy a planet?
He stabs Namor in the heart and lets Black Bolt shoot him onto a blowing up planet trying to kill him.
Right.
And he says this is for... All right, Black Panther's a bad example because I think that was a good point, though, because he was willing to kill Bucky, but then said, vengeance has consumed me. Because think of it, Ironmonger was killed by Iron Man in Iron Man 1. Captain America killed guys in Captain America 1 in the war. He had a gun.
Yeah.
He kicked guys off the helicarrier. They died, okay? And when you're kicking people off a boat in Winter Soldier into freezing water with no life, I don't know if they're unconscious.
What about, here's the
Thor
example.
has killed in the MCU.
This is the example
For
that
my homies.
you brought up, Seth, when we were in like 4th grade.
Oh, gosh.
Apocalypse.
Go on.
The X-Men have Apocalypse in a vulnerable position and they can destroy him. And Jean Grey says, no, the X-Men, the X-Men are not here to destroy people. They're here to imprison people. But everybody knows that you can't hold Apocalypse in a prison and that there's no prison made for Apocalypse. But still, Jean Grey prevents the X-Men, specifically Wolverine, from finishing the job because she wants to preserve Apocalypse's life as opposed to the millions of people that he'll destroy.
Let's use an example that goes with that. Justice League War, it was animated. Darkseid comes to Earth. And it's kind of like New 52. All right. Notice every other thing they say don't kill. Darkseid comes to Earth. They stab him in the eye. They're trying to kill him. Why? It doesn't matter what. If they knocked him out and put him in a cell, he would break out and they'd have to fight. You cannot, all right, Thanos. Yeah. You can't put Thanos in a cell. And that is a guy where I'm totally against being pragmatic because some of the worst things in history were because of pragmatics. But I do understand the reason of, hey, we have nowhere to put him. He said what his intentions are. There's no other way to stop him. It's making a pretty good argument. Like, pragmatic shouldn't be the core thing, but I understand, like, if someone says, I think I understand using it in a logical argument. Like, it shouldn't be a core thing, but if someone breaks in your house and you say, okay, I'm not going to base my whole view on being pragmatic, but if you see a guy break in when you're married and you know he's on PCP, you go, okay, my core of what I do is not going to be based on just what's practical, but I will take into account, hey, fists won't stop him. I've fought guys on PCP. Literally, there are cops who go, you have to shoot him. Yeah. So they're stating a fact. I've seen PCP guys where I knocked out their teeth. They laughed at me. Mm-hmm. Darkseid and Thanos, they literally, all right, Ultimates held Thanos in a cell. He broke out in one issue and killed all these. Darkseid, where do you hold him? And how do you try him? Who's going to be a court of peers? Who's equal to him? Who's going to be his lawyer?
Let me play devil's advocate real quick.
I am so sick of that term, devil's advocate. Sorry. Why is he our example?
Let me play
Alex Jones, chemtrails.
Alex Jones real quick. So,
I'm done.
Say you have somebody who you can hold. Say it's Kevin Spacey in that movie about the death penalty.
He is Thanos.
He's in prison. and he's in prison. I can't even remember the movie, but he's in prison to protest the death penalty. And posthumously, after he's executed by the state, he releases a video that he wasn't actually the one to commit the murder. This is a real movie. I don't know what it was called. I'm sorry. But anyways.
Was it called Lying by Sean?
Say you have
Is it a lie?
Say you have a situation where you just have like a normal guy, not a Thanos. You have Charles Manson, let's say.
We do have a Charles Manson. Go ahead.
He's dead, right?
Is he dead or just released?
I think Charles Manson just died.
You have 2 PhDs, Jake. Come on, man.
Come on, Jake. Look it up.
We say every
Greg is
person who
for.
comes on has PhDs. We haven't had one PhD on this show.
I'm pretty sure Shay has a PhD.
I have a TMCC. I have 60 credits, some of them for welding. I got D in macroeconomics.
So you have Kevin Spacey. Or no. You have Charles Manson.
Yeah, go on.
And Charles Manson is a terrible person. Oh, no. Here's even better.
He's kind of rude, yeah.
Because everybody goes to this extreme. You have Hitler, and he's in prison.
The greater Thanos. Go ahead.
You have Hitler. You've captured him somehow, and it's 1941. And you've captured him, and you put him in prison. Certainly, out of the way we define the death penalty, Hitler, of all people, deserves the death penalty. Do you keep him in prison for the rest of his life, or do you give him the death penalty?
Death penalty.
It's too easy.
Jake?
It's too easy. I feel like he's getting off too easy with the death penalty.
Why can't you do it right before he dies?
There you go.
Death penalty when he's
still get
85?
All right, so here, no, I want you, all right, so I'm going to give my argument. I want to hear Jake's.
Okay, me too.
When it says the government is a sword, I see it as it's not just, okay, what can be the worst thing ever, but you're bringing a closure of, okay, you're evil, you don't want to spare life, you've shown no repentance, and God's put government into a position of power to be the sword. It doesn't say it's a perfect sword or that I like the term God's allowed it to exist, not because it's always perfect or it's going to be amazing. He goes, no, this is just something in my sovereignty I use to inflict justice on earth. I mean, heavenly, there's going to be different justice, but when I see that, I go, okay, even if Hitler repented, he needs to be killed because of the fact, at a certain point, you've inflicted this, and God has put government in place to be a sword. But here's the thing. I would only do that in the context that you can 100% prove Hitler did it, because our current context with DNA, we've seen some of the people have been innocent. I don't like our current system of the death penalty. And I don't know if the killing is because of, God says, well, this is the worst possible punishment they can have, because the worst possible punishment they can have is hell. That's the worst possible punishment. That's the ultimate thing.
Amen.
So I don't think the government's been given authority because it's the worst possible thing they can get and deserve, because what they deserve is hell. I think it's because on earth you're giving them a temporary justice and reprieve of, hey, they've done this. They show no repentance. This is the authority I've put in place for some reason. I don't get all of it. And we're going to kill him. But it would have to be in a specific context. I think the greatest punishment is, and I agree with Jake, because I think Jake actually is hitting on something of like, well, no, my heart desires, they deserve more. And you see that at the cross. If you ever wonder how much God hates sin, look at the cross. He doesn't just want him sitting in a cell or a quick death. He wants him naked, bloody, beaten, humiliated, butchered, and then killed and thrown in the dirt. But I think earth isn't the place where you find it. I think this is a temporary thing where God goes, I'm going to give a reprieve to some of the victims and a justice that even people who may not believe in God will see some justice, some common grace of, hey, there is some justice in this world still. His ultimate justice, though, is going to be after. That's why I'm okay with saying, I agree with Jake. I think it should be till 5 minutes before he dies, he's locked in a cell and then gets killed. But because I know that's not his ultimate punishment or justice, I'm okay with saying, no, kill him he's crossed this line, government's in there for a position, that'll give this temporary reprieve, but he'll meet his final punishment when he dies before Jesus. He has to look the guy in the face who would have been his salvation and was Jewish and go, yeah, I slaughtered people and I licked my lips as they were fed in the gas chambers. That to me is his punishment, and to know that for eternity. So that's why I'm okay, because I totally get Jake's logic. I totally do. I think it has some merit. But the reason I'm okay with the death penalty is, if done right, is I know that's not the real punishment. What we get on earth, I think government is just to give us a temporary reprieve and some order. But God knows, no, the real punishment is going to be when he passes. I don't know. That's kind of my logic. But once again, I could be wrong on that. This is from
of course,
like secondary study of this stuff, because when you get into government, you have the Anabaptist view, you have Presbyterians, you have, hardcore Republican, hardcore liberal. I mean, you have some guys who say death penalty is satanic, and that what I'm just saying is like unbiblical. I'd have some guys, friends of mine, who'd be like, I'd rebuke you for what you just said. Like Ryan Smith is like avid pacifist and Trump supporter. He'd probably say
he
like,
loves
this is
Trump.
wrong. He'd just be like, Seth, like, I love you, Ryan Smith.
But really,
it's just, you're so easy to rile up. He's so easy to mess with.
Is it okay though to have that opinion? You have an opinion you're saying, yeah, hey, I support the death penalty if it's done right.
Yeah, I would say our current death penalty, no, because it's ridiculous versus, I'm okay with actually what Jake said of, no, like you're isolated, because, in a sense, being isolated close to death is a foreshadowing of hell, that isolation.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the death, because to tell a non-Christian family, hey, he's just going to sit in the cell, I do feel like God is in a sense showing a mercy of like, no, I'm going to show you some temporary justice. Because if that person never follows God, you have a non-Christian family going, he's in a cell. Wait, he murdered and raped our daughter. Where is he? So I think there's some things we see on earth, like even food. We get food and it's a temporary foreshadowing of, hey, this is pleasurable. But it's more just me, showing some common grace, doing some cool things. But heaven will be ultimate thing. I see the same thing with justice. I think the justice we see now is temporary and foreshadowing. But if we saw ultimately at the end of time what Hitler's going to get, we would 100% go, oh, that's fair. So it's hard because we're talking about temporary and infinite, and this is a hill I'm not going to die on. Like, Jake might give a good argument. I go, I'm completely wrong on this, because the only thing I'm sure on is like deity of Christ, salvation by Christ alone, fine. But when it comes to death penalty, or stuff like, let's see, what's something people worship, like guns?
Yeah, guns.
So,
what about the Democrats that are going to... Actually, no, you know what? Before we get into that...
This goes into liberty of conscience. This goes into... Because, yeah, I think it's something that can be discussed. But if someone straight up... If Jake gave me an argument that said, I don't agree with this biblically, and gave me some... I'd be fine with being wrong. This is just the context I have, and I'll admit, death penalty is something I only studied... I read maybe, so there's two perspectives I read. There was Shane Claiborne, who's like way against it. And then there was Russell Moore, and it was only a month of study. So it wasn't like years. There's guys smarter than me on this.
Okay.
So
Jake,
there might be guys who'd school. Yeah, go ahead, Jake.
It's 1941. You have Hitler in prison.
Oh, jeez.
No.
I want to know what your opinion on it.
So I think the hard part is, if I look at it, I am viewing things solely from my earthly perspective, where, because Seth was bringing up, what is the ultimate punishment? And my earthly perspective, to me, it's solitude. You're locked in a cage by yourself for the rest of your life, because that will drive a person. There's a reason why in prison, the punishment for those that are disruptive or causing issues within the prison is solitude. Because it's worse than just prison. And so I think that, earthly, my mind is like, yeah, throw that kind of person in a white box forever. That way they suffer. Now, if I'm thinking as a Christian, if I'm thinking beyond just what I know here, is why not just kill them right away and have them have to face their real judgment right away? Why let them avoid that for any longer? So it is.
There is what he said, though. There's truth out of the study. There are guys in solitary confinement going nuts. Mm-hmm. Like that is see, that's the other thing. That's why when people bring up eschatology, I said I don't have a solid thing because the arguments aren't bad. He's not. I listen to it and I go, yeah, like to be honest, because if you're dead, it's done. It's kind of a quick. Because to be honest, we're not. I mean, was it like lethal injection and the chair? Is that all we have for death penalty?
I don't even think we have the chair anymore. It's just
no chair.
So lethal injection, you're just. I mean, I think he has. I get what he's saying. Yeah.
I would say that
my butt.
I agree. I agree with Jake. This is the first time Seth ever dealt with obesity. Now you know how it feels.
I have been a lead pastor at church, and I've put on weight because I am a stress eater. You know this.
I'm just welcome to the club.
No, I am not like you.
I've been dealing with this since I was 19 years old.
You've been dealing with this that you found Snickers. This isn't my fault.
I would say, yeah, like isolation is a great example of a worse punishment than death from our earthly perspective. I totally agree with you, Jake, that death, if you have to face your ultimate judge, gosh, that's so much worse than the death that we think. But imagine if you had the norovirus. I just had the norovirus. That's why we didn't record a podcast last week. Dude, imagine if you were throwing up.
I lost 6 pounds in 2 days.
Yeah, imagine if you had to throw up every hour for the rest of your life. That would be a way worse punishment than isolation, I think. Vomiting
imagine
is so
if you
terrible.
had chafed nipples from surfing.
Gosh. Yeah.
And every day someone came in and hit them with a nail file.
Oh my God.
And you were in a room that was -20.
So I went surfing one time without a rash guard because I was like, I don't need a rash guard.
Sean's nipples. Classic Sean.
I'm pretty sure like I lost most of my nipples.
Your nipples were bleeding. That's why.
It was so bad. And I had to get on an airplane after that. Okay, so here's the thing. I just wanted to say that, like, I totally agree with you, Jake. There are so many worse earthly punishments than a quick end. And absolutely, like, we could milk those punishments, but unfortunately, they're like, I think they're a violation of human rights according to the Constitution right now. And so even the absolute worst criminals, I think even like people like Hitler would be protected from that type of punishment, which is kind of a weird thing to even think about.
What do you think it is? Oh, go ahead.
So
then I have a question for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to almost validate both of your opinions. Like, I think that, like both of you, I think that death is not the end. And after death, you may potentially be living in hell, a consistent and eternal separation from God, but also like burning and pain and gnashing of teeth and all of this stuff. Like, that seems awful. That seems like the worst possible punishment that you could have. What
is it? All right, let me ask you this. Because, all right, have you heard of King Leopold in Africa?
Yes.
Okay, so he's killed tons of people. The way we view Germany is how a lot of countries view Japan in World War II.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask Korea and China, they go, dude, Japan. What is it about? Because all these conversations, that's like the trump card. Trump. The trump card is, if you bring up Hitler, that is the guy in the past 200 years. What is it about him that... Because here's the thing. If you said, oh, so if you saw Carrot Top walking down the street, most people go, well, I'd show restraint because I am not a scumbag. But when you bring up Hitler, that affects people who he killed. And I don't know if this is offensive term. Some people say gypsy is the wrong word. So I'll say like...
nomadic,
Spanish,
Italian.
Romany, or different. And I didn't mean that to say. I really am ignorant of it. But yeah, for that, he hated homosexuals. He hated different ethnicities. He hated Gosh, yeah. Edit that out. Is that bad? The word gypsy?
I'm not sure.
Because I know it's like Romani, some of those like nomadic people. All right, so he hated everyone. Hitler's the focus, not me, people. Look, I preach at Carson. No one's going to be mad about this. Hitler seems to be the, like, trump card. He seems to be the guy, if you bring up, what about Hitler? And I don't know if it's that when he spoke, it was mesmerizing. I don't know if it's that some people have... Here's our thing. People forget. They go, well, was this demonic? And they go, no. Because everyone loves believing in angels, but not the demonic. Like, I wonder about some of these school shooters. They go, well, we believe in angels, but not the demonic. I'm like, how many of them do you know were not demonically influenced? What is it about Hitler that in the past 200 years, most people, and this is liberals and Democrats and like conservatives, will go, that guy was evil and beyond doubt. And Stalin did terrible things.
Yeah, Stalin was way worse.
Mussolini did terrible things. Japan experimented on Korean people, and I'm biased in this because my wife is Korean. What is it about Hitler that for past 200 years, if I guarantee 2080, they'll be debating, Jake will be like old as crap. And they'll be like, what about Hitler? He's like, oh, he's a jerk. Like, what is it about Hitler that we looked and went, that's evil? That's the picture of it. Because Korea, they kind of look at Japan, but maybe it's the Western world, but we look at Hitler and he was this fierce speaker that we went, and it was almost terrifying to hear him speak and go, he literally looks like the personification, even his actions, of he wanted the death of all that existed. Like, what is there about Hitler, you think?
Is it?
That's weird.
Do you think it's
Was
because
it his failed sitcom?
Do you think it's because people didn't get the justice they wanted on Hitler? Because
he shot him?
Tojo was killed, and Mussolini was dragged out naked and beaten in the streets.
Yeah.
And Hitler took his own life. So we
What
didn't get
about
that
Stalin?
satisfaction.
That's a fair point, though.
I agree. I just think, like, for reference, Greg, can you confirm this?
Greg,
I'm pretty sure Hitler was responsible for the death of 6 million Jews and maybe another million, let's say, Gypsy, Romani,
homosexual, disabled,
whatever.
Disabled people. Who goes after disabled people?
Meanwhile,
so bad.
Stalin
Iceland.
was Stalin was responsible for 27 million.
Is that the right number?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I know that we
Russia.
make up
Because his daughter said he was a psycho too. His deathbed, he didn't even recant.
His generals would tell him, hey, we are all going to die in 3 weeks. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Dude.
Stalin is crazy. So as far as death count goes, Stalin had at least 3 times, let's say at least 3 times what Hitler had. Yeah, I agree with your question. It's very interesting. Why is Hitler? Yeah.
Because King
Haircut.
Leopold, have you read about King Leopold? So Africa, he slaughtered people. Just slaughtered. He was allegedly like sociopath at the least. But it's just interesting because I wonder if it's because, all right, the victors determine the story. I wonder if they looked and were like, well, to us, he was the boogeyman. Because I watched, my wife, fun fact, wonderful Korean woman, one of the few films I watched with her and her mom was Gran Torino. That wasn't uncomfortable.
Yeah.
She likes documentaries, and we watched one on World War II. And he spoke. This is what makes me wonder about demonic. He spoke with authority. He'd have dudes who were ordinary
Hitler.
citizens.
Are you talking about Hitler?
Yeah, Hitler.
Yeah.
And he'd speak, and they go, because Stalin, I feel like, was more fear. Stalin would say stuff, but wasn't that eloquent, but people go, I'm not screwing with him. Hitler would say stuff, and you'd see people looking up at him with this gleam in their eyes like, he's the one. He had almost this messianic property to people of like, he'll bring us out. And I go, what was it about? Because if you look at him, he was a failed artist. He wasn't this masculine, strong guy. Yet, dude, it has to be spiritual. People looked at him and went, it was a messianic property. They almost looked at him like, he's going to change everything. And I look at him, I go, He's got this stupid freaking mustache. He can't fight. I would have clenched him and kneed him in the face immediately. Like, just, boom. I don't care if I got shot. Yet Stalin was this man's man to everyone, and no one brings him up. Hitler is like, dude, that's the argument. That's like the nuclear option, you know what I mean? If you say, well, you're doing this, you go, well, what if Hitler? That's like the...
Right. That's how you
What
prove your
is
point.
it about him? Because, all right, so Sean, you're Jewish. What do you think about this?
I'm not Jewish. Actually,
Spoiler, Sean is not of Hebrew origin.
I've done the 23andMe, and
You're what,
many
Swedish
people
and
I
Irish?
know are Ashkenazi Jew. Yeah, I am 100% Northern European.
Good news, I'm Dutch, Irish, and German. That doesn't make anyone angry.
You're
Go
right.
ahead, continue.
Can I just let you guys know something?
Oh,
Like a
Tech Guy
secret?
Jake pulled up some stats.
Greg,
I'm
you're
sorry.
fired.
I apologize to the listeners, but little known fact about myself: I shockingly share a resemblance to Hitler as a child. So if you're curious and you know what I look like, look up Hitler as a child. Google images.
How do you...
Oh my goodness.
No.
That's Hitler or that's
Oh.
you? I'm not sure
Yeah,
which
that's
one.
right. Exactly my point.
All right, first off, that looks like Vlad the Impaler, but young. That's not you. You have a stronger
no, that's
jaw.
not me. That is Hitler as a child. That's
You
who
have
that
the
is.
nose of a broad young John Wayne. Of a bold young John
I
Wayne.
wish I had a side-by-side picture of
That looks
myself.
like-
I'm looking
That
at
looks
a
like
side by
Bruce
side
Wayne
right
when
now.
he's constipated. Do you have a side-by-side view?
I don't think so. I don't think I have a...
Then
We'll
the
put it in
truth
the show notes.
Look. Dude, there's some people who follow this show. They're going to be like, I was following Seth and Sean on social justice, but they got into Batman then Hitler. I'm not sure where they're going with this.
Can I really quick... so going
You
back...
take as much time as you need.
No, going back to how this whole thing started. Should superheroes kill, especially
Oh, that's right.
if it's to prevent the
Genocide
deaths?
or something.
Yes. Did you guys read the Civil War II comics?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the whole thing basically comes back to that. They have a guy that sees the future of people that could die. Do they go stop it before it happens? And like for Thanos' case, do they kill Thanos
Right.
before he kills War Machine or not?
Right.
Because like,
And then
that-
they find out Ulysses isn't 100% accurate. though,
Right.
That he's
They
the
can
most
change it.
likely
it's
prediction.
like based off anxiety in his dreams.
And Ulysses, it turns out, is Muslim. Just let it go. It's okay. Bridget and Elko, I know you've cringed probably the past two. Hey, Bridget Anderson and Elko listening, I appreciate.
I don't know how we're going to edit this to make the...
Because you can't. Because here's the thing. I will say this, and this is something from Norm Macdonald that Sean talked about. All right, so when Norm Macdonald gives stuff to the poor, he actually gives them a hug or physical touch. Because he talked about, he researched that when they don't get physical touch, it actually can be like maddening, not having physical contact.
And real quick, they've
Go
done
ahead.
studies with
Studies, yeah.
chimpanzees. And they took chimpanzees
Who are
that were
Arminius.
just born. The chimpanzees, one of the chimpanzees, they replaced his mom with a fake mom that doesn't touch. It's just made of like spikes. It's like literally a fake chimpanzee mother made of spikes and hard edges and corners. And then they replaced the other chimpanzee's mother with another fake chimpanzee mother that didn't have the corners and the spikes that would pat the chimpanzee on the back. And less anxiety occurred in the chimpanzee that had what was considered the more nurturing mother that would pat the chimpanzee on the back and create some kind of contact. So that's an actually peer-reviewed study that occurred. Sorry, continue.
By
Seth.
who? Quote the scientist.
McGillicuddy and Barners.
You got lucky. Norm Macdonald will purposely hug homeless people when he gives them money because that physical touch, and this goes back to like solitary confinement in prison. Without that physical touch, you can actually go insane. It affects you mentally. Here's the thing. This is all I'll say. and people have bagged on me, and I don't care because I don't answer you at the end. So whatever, I'm not paid. You can't fire me. Haha. People have been made by God with dignity and worth. And I look at them, and this is beautiful creation. It's going to reflect God in the new heaven, new earth. And you go, well, no, especially those who know God, who love Him. And I like to be hopeful that we're going to see more of them than we think. But no matter what their destiny, you have been made by God, and you have dignity and worth. And when you see them in the darkness, when you see them poor and in poverty, Norm Macdonald understood this like more than anyone else, to just look at them and affirm they're human. And here's the thing, John M. Perkins, you don't give people dignity, you affirm it. They already have it given by God.
Appreciate it. Been a long-time fan, back from the start. So happy to be here.
That's awesome.
Take that, Luke. You weren't on this, were you?
I'm going to end this, and I'm going to say, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us.
Text our moderator, Judah.
Email us at talesfromtheditch@gmail.com. Please continue to send us emails. We actually really enjoy the emails, whether they're negative or positive. We really enjoy hearing.
Gotcha.
And also...
zip it up, zip it out.
Also, please, if you're interested, we got an email from Britt saying that she wants to support the podcast financially.
She's a spy. I'm sorry.
If you're interested in doing that, we don't have any way to donate or support our podcast right now, so maybe just buy us a beer. And if you don't live in Reno, Nevada or Sparks, Nevada, just support us by sending us an email and saying good job.
What's your business, Jake, in Gardnerville?
DST Coffee.
DST Coffee, honestly. All right, and I want to be serious. It's run by two people who have integrity. They're awesome. It's good coffee. Go down there, and dead serious. Like, they're two people I'd have no problem endorsing. They're awesome. It's quality. They're amazing, and you'd be supporting an amazing family and good people. So, yeah.
And great coffee.
And if you catch me on bar, I will discuss whether killing is right in comic books with you.